At my 40th birthday dinner, an event orchestrated not as a tribute to me, but as a glittering showcase for my wife Amelia's social circle, she stood up, glass raised, smile radiant, and toasted not to my health or happiness, but to my future divorce settlement. The table exploded with laughter. Not polite chuckles, but raucous, triumphant cackles, the kind that erupt when a group believes they've pulled off the perfect inside joke. Claire, Amelia's best friend and self-appointed ringleader, a woman whose eyes held the warmth of a corporate merger gone hostile, led the cheer, "Get that bag! Girl!" They howled like a pack of hyenas who'd just cornered their prey. And I laughed right along with them. Not nervously, not bitterly, but genuinely. Because the punchline, the one they didn't see coming, was even better than I'd scripted. I stood, lifted my own glass, and with the calm of a man who had spent months waiting for this exact moment said, "That's hilarious, honey. Funny you should say that. I already transferred everything, every last asset, into an irrevocable trust under my sister's name. Yesterday." The silence that followed wasn't just quiet. It was seismic. The kind of vacuum that forms after a bomb detonates in a crowded room. Every smirk vanished. Every glass froze midair. Amelia's face went chalk white, her champagne flute trembling in her manicured grip. They thought I was the sucker, the oblivious husband, the prop in their little theater of greed. They had no idea I was the director and the lead investigator of the entire operation. Let me be perfectly clear. I am not weak. I am not a victim. I am a senior investigator in the Special Investigations Unit of a major insurance corporation, the division that handles high-stakes, complex fraud. My job? To dissect seemingly flawless lives and expose the rot beneath the surface. I analyze financial trails, conduct surveillance, interview master manipulators, and dismantle elaborate deceptions for a living. I don't believe in accidents, I believe in patterns. And for the past year, my marriage had become my most compelling case. I met Amelia 4 years ago. She worked in art curation, a field that offered prestige without paychecks. Her family projected wealth, but was drowning in debt, their lifestyle propped up by credit and illusion. I, on the other hand, had built my own fortune, steady, self-made, and to her, probably unbearably dull. I wasn't her fantasy. I was her financial parachute, and I knew it. I saw the signs early, the offhand mentions of her friends' luxury vacations, the way her needs magically aligned with my latest bonus. But I chose to play along for a while. After a decade immersed in the grimy underbelly of fraud, Amelia felt like a reprieve. I thought, perhaps naively, that stability might anchor something real, that she might in time shed the shallow hunger for status that defined her. I entered the marriage with eyes open. I insisted on a prenuptial agreement, ironclad, protecting every asset I brought into the union. She dismissed it as unromantic, but she signed. For 3 years, I played the role of the devoted, slightly clueless husband. I funded her designer wardrobe, paid off her student loans, financed the down payment on the beautiful home that, legally, became marital property. I was investing, not just in a life together, but in the hope that loyalty might eventually outweigh greed. Then, 3 months ago, the case file opened. It began with a single anomaly, a $500 monthly charge on our joint credit card for a consulting service I'd never authorized. To most, it would have been overlooked. To me, it was a red flare. A quick search revealed the consultant was, in fact, a high-end divorce strategist, a coach who specialized in helping affluent women extract maximum settlements. My wife was paying someone to plan how to dismantle our marriage while we were still married. That was the moment the husband stepped aside. The investigator took over. I didn't confront her. You never tip off the subject. You gather evidence quietly, methodically. I installed a keylogger on our home computer, placed a GPS tracker on the car I'd bought her, leveraged my professional resources to conduct a full forensic audit of her finances and those of her inner circle. What I uncovered wasn't just betrayal. It was a conspiracy. Amelia, Claire, and their clique had been plotting this for over a year. Their group chat, now fully archived in my possession, was a step-by-step manual for spousal fraud. They discussed which assets were vulnerable. They schemed to bait me into an affair to trigger infidelity clauses. They even set a timeline. Wait until our 4th anniversary, then file for divorce, claim half the house, and lock in lifelong alimony. My birthday dinner? It was meant to be their victory lap, a final mocking toast before the takedown. They made one fatal mistake. They underestimated me. They saw a boring insurance guy. They didn't see the man whose job is to hunt predators like them. 2 days before the dinner, I executed my countermove. My sister, a partner at a top-tier law firm specializing in asset protection, spent an entire day with me in her office. We didn't do anything crude like simply transferring assets to her name. That's child's play, easily overturned in court. Instead, we constructed a legal fortress. We established an irrevocable family trust, bulletproof under divorce law. Into it went every premarital asset, my investment portfolio, the bulk of my liquid capital. My sister, as trustee, held the keys. Then, we had the business I owned formally purchase our marital home in exchange for a controlling stake in a new holding company, which of course was also owned by the trust. In 8 hours, I rendered every significant asset legally untouchable. What remained in our joint names? A checking account with crumbs, and a mountain of debt from her relentless spending. So when Amelia raised her glass and toasted my financial ruin, my laughter wasn't forced. It was euphoric. I'd spent 3 months investigating the most personal fraud case of my career, and I'd just closed it with a flourish. Update 1. The aftermath at the restaurant was cinematic. Time slowed, smiles froze, glasses hovered. Panic flickered across their faces like faulty neon. Amelia stared, mute, her composure cracking. Claire, ever the strategist, recovered first. "That's not funny, Mark," she snapped. "You can't just do that." "Do what?" I asked, sipping water. "Protect what's mine?" "Actually, I can, and I did. Yesterday was productive." The party ended then and there. I paid the bill, the final, delicious irony. The car ride home was thick with silent rage. Amelia didn't speak. She stared out the window, mind racing, wondering if I was bluffing. At home, the performance crumbled. The poised socialite vanished. In her place stood a terrified, cornered animal. "What did you do?" she hissed as the door clicked shut. "I followed my own professional advice," then I said, unbuttoning my cuffs. "When you suspect you're the target of a long-term premeditated fraud, you act swiftly to mitigate losses." "Fraud?" she shrieked. "I'm your wife." "Are you?" I walked to the bookshelf, pulled down a thick leather binder, and dropped it on the coffee table. "Because this file suggests you're a co-conspirator in a plot to defraud me upon the dissolution of our marriage, a dissolution you've been planning for over a year." I opened it. Page 1. The invoice from Claire's consulting service. Next, color-coded charts mapping how my money funded her extravagance. Then, the pièce de résistance, 100 pages of time-stamped group chat logs, detailing every scheme, every snide comment, every greedy calculation. She read. Her face cycled from fury to horror. "Where did you get this?" she whispered. "I'm an investigator, Amelia," I said. "It's what I do." "You were so focused on planning the perfect crime. You never considered you'd married the perfect detective." The real battle raged for hours. She cried, she screamed, she denied. She blamed Claire, she blamed her friends, she blamed me. Classic behavior of a subject who knows the jig is up. By morning, she was gone, fled to her parents' house. Her lawyer, a small-time practitioner, hopelessly outmatched, called mine, my sister, that afternoon. And that's when phase 2 began. My sister didn't just confirm the trust's validity. She went on the offensive. She informed Amelia's attorney that we possessed irrefutable evidence of a conspiracy to commit fraud, and that if Amelia contested the trust, we'd not only win, but file a separate civil suit against her, her sister, and Claire for the $65,000 they'd stolen from me. Yes, during my audit, I'd uncovered a side scheme. Amelia and her sister using our joint card to buy designer clothes, wear them once, then return them. Textbook fraud. Amelia's lawyer folded. He advised settlement. My terms brutal, non-negotiable, uncontested divorce. Zero claim to any of my assets, past, present, or future. The house sold. Mortgage paid. Equity split after deducting the $65,000 stolen, plus my legal fees. Net result for Amelia? Less than $10,000. A pittance for 3 years of scheming. While she drowned in legal quicksand, I turned my attention to her coven. Update 2. My revenge on her friends wasn't loud. It was surgical. Precision strikes, using the intel I'd gathered to collapse the pillars of their smug, entitled lives. Claire, the architect, was first. My investigation revealed she wasn't just advising. She was practicing law without a license, selling legal and financial strategies for profit. I compiled a dossier, including testimonials from other burned clients, and anonymously sent it to the State Bar and Attorney General. Her business is now under formal investigation. Career likely finished. Becca, the PR exec for a family-friendly megacorp, was next. Her social media was a highlight reel of partying, drug use, and poor life choices. I curated her greatest hits, sent them to HR with a note. As a concerned shareholder, I'm troubled by employee conduct that risks brand integrity. She was fired within a week for violating the company's morality clause. Jessica, the last, was married to a partner at a rival insurance firm, someone I knew professionally. I invited him for coffee, didn't show him the chats, just said man to man, I recently uncovered troubling information during my divorce, involving your wife. She was actively coaching mine on marital fraud. Then, I gave him the name of an excellent forensic accountant. Weeks later, I saw him. No wedding ring. In a month, Amelia's entire support network was obliterated. Fired, investigated, divorcing. They turned on each other, blaming Amelia for unleashing a monster into their lives. She was utterly, completely alone. Final update, 3 months since the dinner. Divorce finalized last week. As predicted, after house sale and deductions, Amelia walked away with less than $10,000. She's back at her parents', whose own finances are now collapsing under the weight of her legal bills and a separate lawsuit. Yes, Uncle Ron is suing her sister Megan. The family's imploding. Last week she called, blocked number, sobbing, said her life was over, said she was sorry, said she'd been a fool, asked if I could help her. I let her finish, then silence. I'm an investigator, Amelia, I said, voice flat. My job is to assess risk, and you, your family, your friends, are the riskiest asset I've ever encountered. A normal person walks away from a bad investment. I don't. I write it off and ensure it can never be listed on the market again. I continued. You thought this was a game. It wasn't. It was a claim. You filed a fraudulent claim against my life, and for 3 months, I did my job. I investigated, I documented, and I denied the claim, with extreme prejudice. The difference between you and the criminals I usually deal with? They at least know when they've been caught. I hung up, blocked the number. Now I sit in my new apartment, smaller, minimalist, serene. A space of order, of logic. I sold the big craftsman house. Too many ghosts. My life is quiet. Entirely my own. My revenge wasn't a single moment. It was a slow, meticulous, comprehensive audit of a corrupt system. They thought they were players. They were amateurs, trying to con a man who dismantles professional con artists for a living. They thought they could take everything from me. They never realized the most valuable thing I own is the one thing they could never comprehend, the absolute unwavering certainty that, in the end, the books always balance. And I am always the one who balances them.